Hello and welcome to Beyond NSU. I'm your host, Terrell Ducree. We're so happy to have you joining us on the latest edition where we spotlight the best and brightest that Norfolk State has to offer. And of course, our current guest is no exception. She is none other than Paralympic Gold Medalist April Holmes. April, we're so happy to have you on the show. Welcome to Beyond NSU.
Thank you, Terrell, for having me.
So much to get into. There's so many layers to the queen and what you have become and the journey. But just to everyone that's watching, and again, just thank you so much for tuning in. Tell us what brought you back in town today.
I came in town actually for the freshman convocation. I was keynote speaker for freshman convocation. But whenever I get an opportunity to come back home, to come back to Norfolk State University, and I'm always overjoyed. I'm always proud to come back. Just knowing that I've done some pretty cool things in my life, some things I've been proud of. So, to be invited back means that I'm not just proud, but other people are also. So it's awesome to come back home today.
You're right. And of course, a lot of people are loving this familiar face. There is some nostalgia to the history that you have from Norfolk State. To some of the newbies who may not know, give them a little bit of the background on how you relate to the Spartans, because you are a super Spartan. I've watched you in a lot of different publications, and there is no hesitation. She's always representing the green and gold. Let them know your story.
The fact that I've been declared a super Spartan is important for me, from you,
doubt.
especially coming from you, Terrell.
Absolutely.
Especially coming from you.
Yes.
But I was here at Norfolk State from '92 to '96. Mass comm major, graduated. Loved my time here at the university. Track and field athlete, All-American here at the university. But met some awesome people along the way that kind of helped the trajectory of not just my career here, my time here at Norfolk State, but also my career moving forward. And so, again, just to come back here, to say, okay, you were this a stellar track and field athlete. To say that our broadcast was the best. I mean, our broadcast
Right.
It was well before its time, Terrell.
Yes, it was.
But just working with the NSU Sports Network, broadcasting the football games, broadcasting the basketball games, those type of things, and we were doing that well before anyone else came along to do it. And so the fact that we were out there doing it, and we were students doing it. We Norfolk State entrusted us as students to do this. Without hiring the professionals, but we were professional. We were professional because we had great mentorship in Greg. And he had no problem telling us what he expected from us come day one.
That's right. She's speaking of Greg Willis, by
yes.
the way, and a lot of others that help contribute to that NSU Sports Network.
Yes, I mean we did some stuff there. I mean, just looking back and to show how professional we were, to show how great of a show that we put on for the listeners or whatever. So I couldn't be any more proud of some of the things I were able to do here on the campus of Norfolk State University and other campuses.
That's a great point. I did want to piggyback one piece. I want to stay right there with the portion of how not only were we prepared with the a bevy of instructors, and condolences to Mr. Weibo, one of our instructors from before, just transitioning on. But we were prepared. We could go out of town, out of state, and operate as an entity. And that piece that you mentioned about not hiring the professionals, allowing us to be able to get our hands on the equipment, work it, learn how it worked. That was significant because they made sure of that. And then when you come back as a veteran of the program, and then you see the digs that we're in, kudos to Professor Gibson. And this is definitely the Ritz-Carlton of studios. What do you think about the expansion of HBCU funding and this studio?
I always hear, even prior to coming to Norfolk State, it's the thing of, your ancestors put things together knowing that they would never be able to take advantage of those opportunities. I mean, they built HBCUs knowing that they would never be able to go to school, but they built it because they knew their grandchildren. There was a legacy to be left behind as far as they were concerned. And I think you haven't truly lived until you have really given back to something or given back to someone. And so, I walk in here, I am jealous, but actually I'm not jealous to the point of being upset. I'm like, wait, imagine if I had all this when I was here in school.
Wow.
However, I'm appreciative of what I did have, because what I did have, someone else worked hard for it, they provided for it, and they made sure that we could take advantage of the things that they worked hard for.
And, we thought it was the latest gadgetry that we got in on, and we just didn't know how blessed we were. You know what I mean?
I mean, we duct tape things together in
Yes.
order to get a microphone working
Yes.
for a broadcast or whatever. And I mean, we traveled with some probably some very archaic equipment and things, but that didn't stop our quality.
Yes.
That just goes to show you, you could have the most beat up equipment, but that shouldn't stop your quality. That shouldn't stop your work ethic. That shouldn't stop the determination that you have in order to be able to succeed in things that you do in life. And so, did we have archaic equipment? Sure. But did we make the most of it? We absolutely did.
Totally. I always liken it to the Rocky IV Drago and Balboa when, of course, Drago had all of the futuristic equipment and
Sure.
Balboa was out in the woods, but he was taking it back to the essence. A great transition. You mentioned work ethic and how you work in life and things that are thrown at you. I want to touch on this latest chapter. Talk to us about you ran track here, a superb athlete here at Norfolk State, and we spoke of Paralympic Gold Medalist. Speak to us about that journey and how we pivoted to there.
About 5 years after I graduated from Norfolk State, I was involved in a train accident. And I was in Philadelphia, and my boyfriend and I were getting ready to get on a train, and we were headed to New York. And just prior to me getting on the train, the driver decided he was ready to go and just moved the train. He didn't ring any bells. He didn't close the door or anything. So I ended up slipping and falling, and I actually fell underneath of the platform that I had just previously been standing on. I fell underneath that platform, and the train was actually on my leg, like crushing my leg. And one of the things I share with the students today is that, I was trapped underneath of that train for 17 minutes. And when I've gone around and spoken to audiences around the world, I share with people literally this. I heard 5 words that changed the course of my life. And those 5 words were, did you get her leg? And so to be spending 17 minutes trapped underneath a train, and I promise you, I'm not sure if I'm making it or not making it. I'm literally in that frame of mind, like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not make it. And so it was like, how do you keep your mind occupied? How do you keep your heart beating? And so to answer the question of how do I keep my mind occupied, I began making snowballs and throwing them. I began thinking about like all of the things that I wanted to do in life, all the things I had a chance to do, all the things that I had not yet had a chance to go and do. But it was, and then as far as like keep my heart beating, I just kept thinking of different songs. I'm a huge Usher fan. I'm a huge Stevie Wonder fan.
Usher in the building.
Listen, Usher and Stevie Wonder, my dudes.
Okay.
So nevertheless, I'm thinking about that, but I'm keeping my mind occupied, my heart beating, because I don't know how long it's going to take them to free me from this train.
Okay.
But I knew that I was going to do my job. And my job was to literally sit there and, okay, all right, I'm still here. I'm trapped underneath this train. But instead, how can you bring yourself to a place of not thinking about the pain, but thinking about, what you can do when you get up. And so I remember telling the paramedic woman, I said, listen, I get that they're trying to actually lift this train up. But instead of them keep trying to lift the train up, can you just ask them to start the train up and back it off my leg? I mean, it's already on my leg by now. I mean, I already had all the pain experiences that I can possibly have. Can you just ask them to start the train up and back it off my leg? And I tell you, Terrell, to this very same day, I literally can smell the fumes that train starting back up. And I can hear it.
Wow.
And it started up, it backed off my leg, and before long, I was flipped over, I was put on a stretcher, I was loaded into an ambulance. And I woke up several hours later not having a clue where I was. And, I'm in Philadelphia, and I joke a lot of times with my family about this. I said, there was a gentleman that woke me up, and he said, I'm going to take you to see your family. And all I saw around me was white. Like, everything was white. And so I'm like, wait, what family he taking me to go see? I didn't,
right.
you hear the picture. I mean, you hear the stories about the pearly gates and everything's white in heaven. And I'm like, all right, wait a minute. He got all white. Where am I? What in the world's happening here? And I remember going into the room, and I saw my mom and I saw my cousin. So therefore, I knew I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm still standing.
right.
So nevertheless, I'm like, okay. So now, tell me what happened to my leg. And my cousin is like, oh, you'll be okay. I said, that is not the answer. That is not no, I didn't ask you was I going to be okay. Like, that's not the question I asked you. Instead, I'm asking you, what happened to my leg? And she just kept repeating over and over again, you'll be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Well, what she has seen for me and for so many years was, I had experienced loss in my life. And also that I had overcome so many things in my life. And so when you can see, it's funny because, when you're a young person, even not necessarily just even be a young person, but sometimes people see in you things you don't see in yourself.
She saw something.
She saw something in me,
Yes.
and she kept saying, you're going to be okay. And I lift up and I look down where my left leg used to be, and all of a sudden it was not there anymore. I'm like, wait, my toes was cute. Where'd they go? Well, I had 10 toes when I started this day off. Now all of a sudden I got 5. We have a problem. Houston, we got a problem. And I turned to her and said, you mean to tell me I'll never be able to run or play basketball again? And she said the exact same thing, Terrell. You're going to be okay.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. You know what? I am going to be okay. I just got to figure it out. I just have to find a way. I have to find a way to win. And so my idea of winning was, I was so fortunate that the doctor that did my surgery came in a few weeks later and gave me some magazines about the Paralympics. But I literally laid in that bed, Terrell, and I said, you know what? I have 3 dreams for myself. I want to represent the United States in the next Paralympic Games. I want to win gold medals, and I want to be the fastest person in the world. Here I am, just 2 weeks prior, was trapped underneath a train, So I went from the train to the hospital bed, and now all of a sudden I have podium dreams. And that didn't. That to me is what fueled.
It's fortitude.
It fueled that.
Wow. Great. I was going to ask you, and first of all, just as I digress, are you hearing this? You talked about the Olympics. Now, of course, we're going, and I like that, from no pity to what's the next chapter. So now we're looking at the Paralympics. We're training. I looked through some of the, footage of how because you've given back, you've told this story a number of times. Watching you communicate with the kids back at home. She's a Jersey girl. She's from Jersey. You know what I mean? So watching you give back to the kids, jumping right in. You've always been thorough and always been a straight shooter. Even when we were young, coming up you were one of we looked up and still do look up to you. You were one of the instructors' favorites because you were so responsible, had us in check, and didn't play. Still to this day. But you switch and make that transition. I don't know how you attacked it, but let's go ahead and fast forward. Talk to me about how the qualifying went. How did you get through? You knew you could do it. Let's get there.
I never even, it's interesting because when you set, I say a really, really high bar for yourself, like I never even looked at the qualification like that was an obstacle. Like I saw myself on a podium. Making a team wasn't good enough for me. I love the USA uniform. That's lovely. But that wasn't my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal was, how can you be the best in the world? How can you be the greatest in the world? Like that was my thing that I was really looking forward to. So it was great to say, okay, qualifying. There are plenty of people that were nervous about qualifying. They're nervous about qualifying, but why? Because they didn't have the dream that said, I'm going to get to that podium. They may not even have determination to say, I'm going to get to that podium. Me, there was no stopping before I got to the podium. There's no stopping me. I'm going to get to this podium. I'm going to be the best in the world. Why? Because I believe in me. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care. I'll tell you this funny story. So I'm the first one was sponsored by the Jordan brand.
Say it again.
And so,
one more time. I mean, say it one more time. So, some stuff just come out. So one more time.
Okay, so I'm the first woman sponsored by the Jordan brand. And so prior to going to all of the games, the Jordan brand always made me spike specific for this competition. And so I get to Beijing in 2008, and they had made me some gold spikes, but we didn't tell anyone that we made gold spikes. We kept it under wraps. And so we get to the competition, and we're down underneath the stadium. We're getting ready to go out on the track to run. And I'm bending down, I'm tying my shoes, and I happen to look over because the girl from France was sitting on my right-hand side. I look over, and she had gold shoes. And I was like, the nerve of her to come up here with gold shoes. I mean, here I am, have not been beaten in 5 years. Here I am, world record holder. Here I am expected to win the gold medal, and she shows up with some gold shoes. I'm thinking the nerve of her, to show up with some gold shoes on. Then I look over on this side, and there's another girl from China, and she has gold shoes on. And I said, well, wait now. They only giving out one gold medal. So what made these people think to themselves that they should wear gold shoes when this is my gold medal I'm going to go get? I'm going to claim my gold medal that I talked about from when I was in that hospital bed. And then I got to thinking, I said, you know what? They didn't train every single day to be a silver medalist.
Have mercy.
They didn't train every day to be a bronze medalist.
It's the best of the best here.
They trained every single day to be a gold medalist too, and they have every right to dream big for their life as I had to dream big for my life. And so when I said, April, you focused on the wrong stuff.
Wow.
You focused on the wrong stuff. Let them do whatever they going to do. Right. But you ultimately know that when you cross the goal line, they can have them gold shoes.
Right. You touched on in some of your and not to cut you off, you talked about staying in your lane. It's a cliche we use quite a bit. What does staying in your lane mean to you? Staying
in lane for track and field is like, focus on what you were called to do. Focus on your purpose. Focus on your passion. Like, don't be so caught up on everything, because it's so easy to get caught up in what other people are doing, especially with social media age that we're in. It's so easy to get caught up on the fact, oh, they driving that car, they over here, they got ready to, they met this person, they're able to do this. No, your blessing is coming. Your blessing is coming.
And don't get in
There
the
is
way
grace
of
in the way. There is mercy in your lane. There is all of these things in your lane if you just stay in your lane and focus on you. Because not every egg matures at the same time.
Some stuff doesn't require anything left to be said. Paralympic Gold Medalist, Norfolk State graduate, ambassador, and true friend, April Holmes, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. We'll see you next time with another amazing guest here on Beyond NSU.